We do have some work to do with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You can't have peace in the Middle East if they have a nuclear weapon. And they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they've been told that very strongly.
With us now is the Ambassador to the United Nations, Michael Waltz. Mr. Ambassador, thanks for taking time with us today. It's great to see you.
Good to be with you.
Here on set. You mentioned this morning at this Board of Peace event that aid is once again flowing into Gaza. You said it's actually happening at an unprecedented pace now. This obviously has been a contentious sticking point since virtually day one of the war. Can you talk to us about quantity now?
Yeah.
And give us some numbers?
Well, you have to give just huge credit to President Trump's leadership to establishing this Board of Peace. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council 13-0. So for all of the naysayers out there, saying he just invented this out of whole cloth, no, the UN put their stamp on it. Why was that so necessary? Well, for the countries contributing troops, and we have pledges of over 8,000 now, the main one being Indonesia, they needed that kind of UN stamp of international law in order to be able to put a stabilization force in. So we have the stabilization force going, $7 billion in pledges today that were announced for reconstruction. And to your point, the humanitarian aid is flowing at unprecedented levels. 13 weeks now, we've exceeded the 4,000 trucks per week that a number of international agencies have said were what all 2 million Gazans need to survive. This is medicine, shelter, food, and credit to our amazing military that are there coordinating all of this between the aid agencies, the UN, the Israelis, and others to make it happen. And as we said to President Trump today, he knows this, but I mean, literally, what he put together and his team are saving lives.
Well, the Board of Peace must have the stamp of approval of the UN because traffic in Washington, D.C. today was every bit as bad as it is in New York during the General Assembly.
Yes,
thank you for that.
27 nations, heads of state and senior representatives came today. 70 nations are participating in the Civil Military Coordination Center. So it's quite the gathering that really only he could pull together.
It seems to be a pretty big deal at this point. We'll see where it goes from here. Okay, let's talk about the big question mark here, and that is what's going to happen with Iran and when. Iran has said it's going to come back within 2 weeks with some sort of proposal for a deal, but if past is prologue, a lot of people are saying maybe they've got 2 days, not 2 weeks.
Well, they have a terrible history of living up to any deal, and it's one of the reasons President Trump in his first term very rightly pulled us out of the terrible JCPOA that Obama put in place. Look, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, Secretary Rubio have been very clear. All enriched, highly enriched uranium. There is no reason to have it enriched at 60 and 90% unless you intend to build a weapon.
Or
no
use it as
enrichment.
leverage.
Or no enrichment capability.
So zero enrichment still.
Zero enrichment. There has been a discussion last year of a pooled international ability that has appropriate monitoring and oversight by the IAEA inspectors, the missile program, and their ongoing support for terrorism. And as you heard the president say today, you cannot have peace in the Middle East if Iran is racing towards a nuke. And, oh, by the way, look at how that we've rolled them back, and the Israelis have rolled them back in terms of Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and all the other terrorist proxies that they support around the region. He's also been very clear that we wouldn't have gotten as far as we have in Gaza if Iran wasn't on their back foot. And second, I don't think we get to furthering and expanding the Abraham Accords if Iran is still on the offensive. So we'll see what they come back to the table with. But to your point, the president can make the decision anywhere, anytime, and credit to the Pentagon and Secretary Hegseth for putting those options in place for him.
In the couple of days since the second round of talks wrapped up, you know this well, the Iranians prevailed upon the Russians to engage in these joint military exercises with them in the region as like a show of solidarity and strength, and they have since, the regime has reverted to their insane fire and brimstone on social media, threatening the United States, threatening the administration. In the last couple of days, do you see anything different behind the scenes that leads you to feel that they are taking this engagement seriously?
You know, there's always the bluster, and that's why these talks that Steve Witkoff and Jared are having are so important. The bluster is there, even in the face of the world condemnation of killing, depending on the number, 18 to 40,000 of their own people, an industrial-size massacre. But there's the other piece of this, and this is incredibly important, where time is not on Iran's side. Yes, there's our military buildup and capabilities, but there's the maximum pressure that President Trump put in place last year on their economy. It was the second national security policy memorandum he put in right after coming into office. Their currency is tanking. Their foreign currency reserves are tanking. The most recent uprising was actually from their merchant class. So their economy is not going to improve. And the thing the IRGC cares about the most, because they control 40 to 50% of the Iranian economy, is their wallet and control.
Right.
And that pressure isn't going to let up. You know, President Trump has really got them boxed in many ways. And then we've layered on top of that pressure on this ghost fleet that's been exporting so much of their illegal oil.
So fire and brimstone doesn't matter. I mean, it never matters.
Yeah, I mean, but the facts on the
now.
ground, right? They're always going to pontificate and try to seem tough on the international stage. But the facts are not on their side. Time is not on their side. And they'd be wise to listen to the president and come to the table with a real deal.
They have a very big gun to their head at the moment. There's no question about that. As the president is winging his way down to Georgia and is likely watching you on this program right now, there's a sense among some nations who are involved in the talks, even if peripherally, that Iran really does want to make a deal this time around. That this is the real deal, that Araghchi is negotiating in good faith, wants to get a deal done. But the concern from some nations in the region is that the president may not give it the time it needs to get a deal done. What do you say to that?
Well, look, our demands, his demands, have been clear for quite some time. Iran cannot have a nuke, and that's an enrichment capability, the highly enriched, and the other pieces that we've talked about. He gave them a chance last June, and they didn't take that opportunity. We'll see if they do now, but you layer on the economic pressure, the pressure against their illicit oil, the pressure that's coming up from inside, from their own people, and these military capabilities. This is what's different than before. We'll see what they do.
Could I just ask one quick question before we go? The big question, I think the president's got the same question, is if you push hard enough to topple the regime, what comes next? And could what comes next be worse than where we are now?
Look, that has to be handled incredibly carefully. There's a number of groups out there. They would be wise to unite and present a viable option. But the regime has been trying to make sure that doesn't happen for so many years. And that's why they've massacred so many of their own people. But the president's listening to everyone. He's listening to our partners in the regime. You know, we've had the engagement with Prime Minister Netanyahu, who came over. Of course, he has an amazing team of advisors, and he'll work through that as he makes these decisions.
All right. Well, Mr. Messer, thank you for taking time with us today. I know it's a very obviously important day for you, so we appreciate it.
And just one more point on
please.
Where the UN has played in here, the snapback sanctions that they put in, really with our leadership last fall, was another layer on the regime. So they don't have many options to go but listen to the president.
Great to see you again.
Good to see you.
It's been a while. Our best to the family.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.